In this video, we would be performing basic dynamic analysis on the malware fake-antispyware.exe. This is where the malware will be allowed to run its intended course in a controlled environment. This is done so as to observe the behavior of the malware upon execution, which would then allow us to determine its functionality. Upon finding out more information regarding the malware and what it does, we'll then be able to classify it. It is very important that the analyst's whole system is not compromised upon the execution of the malware. Thus, we would be using virtual machines to run the malware and analyze it there using tools. In this analysis, we will be using VMware Workstation, Windows 8.1 to run the malware. To be able to look for any malicious activity caused by the malware, we will be using tools. These tools would allow us to figure out the full capability of the malware by looking at network activity, registry changes, and any other activity in the system. The tools that we would be using will be Process Explorer, Process Monitor, RecShot, Wireshark, CaptureBet, and Apat DNS. We will now begin to set up the tools. So first, let's start with RecShot. And we would take the first shot. This will take the first snapshot of the registry so that we can use it to compare it later. While that's being done, let's open up Process Monitor. I've already set Process Monitor to stop capturing so that it will not be flooded with a lot of data here. So the data will only start to be captured after I execute the malware. Then we have Process Explorer, where let's set it to view to show the handles. So this would actually show the threads such as mutant, to see if there's any mutants, mutex created and such. And CaptureBet is ready to be started off. We have Apat DNS keyed in and ready to go. We also have Wireshark. So this is the setup before the execution of the malware. Alright, so now let's start CaptureBet. Let's start Apat DNS. We'll let Process Monitor start capturing. We will let Wireshark start running. Once all this has been done, we will now execute the malware. So you can see that it's showing that it has to be installed first. And at the same time, in Process Explorer, you can see fake-antispyware.exe pop up. So, alright. So over here, if we look at it, if we scroll down at this stage, you can see two mutant files, and both of them are labeled as mutex. So there's two mutex files created at this point. So now I will go on to set the terms and license agreement. Then I'll click the installation process. It will start installing. So you can see that my Wireshark has started capturing activity, specifically SSDP to a certain IP address and the destination with HTTP written there. We can also see a new protocol known as LLMNR. It's not something that's very common, so we can research and look into it later. So it's still installing Adware Alert, taking quite some time. Alright, now we can launch this. So knowing that this malware is supposed to be scanning for adware, spywares, and other things, I actually have a folder of malwares contained here. And let's see that if this would scan that. Right, so now they want me to scan now to check the malware. At the same time, you can see in this something interesting, something written as spywaredb 3.2 squared.com. You can look into that later. So right now, I let it scan now. You can see that the fake anti-spyware process has been gone and it's now Adware Alert. So if I was to scroll down, I'll see a lot of key and I see a bunch of mutant files here. And I actually see two mutex files here. This looks new. This doesn't look like the ones that we had before. But this, if you remember, this is actually the mutant file that was there when fake anti-spyware was running just now. So this will take quite a bit of time to run since it's scanning through all the items in my current virtual machine. As the scan goes on, you can see that there's more SSDP protocol happening with more searching. So what we can think here is that some kind of data transfer might be happening. We're not sure at this point because we've not categorized this malware yet. So it's capable of doing anything. We can actually ignore the Microsoft update thing here because that's for the system. It's nothing to do with the malware, even though it's consistently appearing. You can see another run of spyware has appeared here, and this is still scanning for a parasite or malware, however they like to call it. Alright, after it has finished the scan, this is what appears. So we can see that it has found two detections on our computer. One is adware, the other one is browser helper alert, and both of them seems to be located in the Windows System 32 directory. And at the same time, it didn't pick up any of the malwares that was over here. So I do not really know the reason why it didn't detect it. Maybe it was unreadable. We'll go into it later. So if I was to click clean selected infections, it doesn't let me do it. If I click register now, it prompts me to this page and adware alert. This is the website where the registration is supposed to be done. It can't be displayed because we have disabled the internet for the virtual machine. But beforehand, I actually tried going to this link and it's actually unavailable. The site seems to have been taken down or something, so we can't register information. So far with everything we have found, we can perform our dynamic analysis by analyzing regshot, capture bet. So we can do our regshot second shot right now. What? That's happening. We can stop our capture bet. And we can do the same to process monitor. So it will stop capturing, so we can analyze the data that's already here. Same thing for this, dot for Wireshark. Alright, we are good to go. So for a pet DNS, we'll also stop the server, so we can analyze the information that's already been here. Alright. So we shall close it for now. So it actually shows us here that adware alert will still be running in the background even if we close this. And if we want to fully shut down our adware alert app, I can just go to the icon later on and click shutdown. So we can explore that in a bit. Okay, then I will click compare. Alright, so let's start off by first looking at process monitor. So in process monitor, what we have done is we start off by filtering it. So I've already put a pre-filter that would exclude names such as ProbeMon, Probe Explorer, Autorun, System Capture, Bedrock Shot, so that the information related to these tools would not be captured here and flood the other results. So once it has been applied, we can look at it. So this is not right. So the service host is MSI. It's the one that we saw just now earlier on when we were installing fake anti-spyware. We're seeing MSI in the Process Explorer. So you can see that it closes a lot of files, creates files, close, create file. It keeps happening. It seems to be done in these directories and such. It doesn't seem suspicious. Seems like something that will normally occur when you install an application. So that being aside, right, more MSI. But then we realize here that there's another MSI executive that was case sensitive earlier on. We can just ignore that and keep going. These are VM tools, so we can ignore them as well for the time being. Now we are seeing adware alert. Adware alert is seen to be quite a bit here. So adware alert seems to be reading quite a lot of files. So my assumption here is that this is actually during the scanning process where we were letting adware alert to actually scan for malwares and such. So this might be during that stage where it's still looking out to see if there's any malware and such, and it's pretty much reading every part of the system here. System 32 and tons of user, different DLLs and everything. It's going through this. There is also saying to be opening, creating and closing registry keys over here. So it's specifically in software, registration info, order info, and like some of them are success, some of them were name not found and such. So it seems to be a repetitive pattern where it keeps creating registry files and such. But after this, yeah, it's just more scans and such. So we can keep going down. As we can see, there isn't really much. It's just a lot of registry opening key, closing, creating, plus creation of file and also reading of file. So this seems to be a lot of processes from adware alert side for just a simple scanning of malwares. But this might be something that actually happens when you run a legitimate tool, so you will not be able to figure out. So we might need to use other tools to see if there's any other hints given. And yeah, that's about it. So next to Process Explorer, for adware alert, these were the files and the events. Then you have keys, the registry keys that were used up and everything. They'll open for this. Then you have quite a bit of mutants here, like I mentioned before. This mutant was actually found when fake anti-spyware was being installed and Process Explorer actually displayed this mutant. So we can arrive at a conclusion that this is the legit mutex file. So the presence of this might deter me from actually reinstalling this process, which we can try out later. And other than that, that's about it. Then if we look at Wireshark, alright, let's pull this down. Alright, so if you look at Wireshark, it has not captured as much traffic. So we can see here clearly that the common protocols here is SSDP, LLMNR, MBNS, and then there's a browser thing here, SSDP. So for SSDP, we can see that it's trying to send to this destination 239.255.255.250 constantly, and it's using HTTP. So we can, maybe there's being some sort of data or something that's being sent over via HTTP. But this can't technically take place since we do not have any internet connection. So moving on, we have LLMNR, where you can see that it's sending out some sort of query and such. Going on, we see DHCP. So these are all normal things. And if you're curious what's LLMNR, it's actually link local multicast name resolution. So it's actually a protocol that's based on DNS packet format and something to do with IPv4 and IPv6. The next one that's not common will be NBNS, which we can see over here. It stands for Net Bio Name Service. It's actually a protocol for name service, and it performs a similar function to LLMNR, but it uses UDP broadcast packets instead of the one that I mentioned earlier, which uses DNS packets. So seems legitimate. Nothing seems to be out of the ordinary other than for SSDP here. Then there's some workstation. I'm sure we can ignore that as well. So for this, Wireshark hasn't provided much either. Next, we can actually take a look at Apart DNS. For Apart DNS, we can see from the start there's a lot of Windows update. There's been a spyware DB 3.2 squared. So we're not really sure what that is, but it possibly is because of the malware, because before it was executed, this didn't pop up. So it's something that we can look further into later on. Other than that, there isn't much either. So we can minimize this. Then we can take a look at rig shot. So after taking the two shots, I actually clicked on compare. We generated a report kind of thing where it will compare first shot and second shot. So we can open this up. And we can see that there has been 10 keys deleted. Specifically, it's under group policies, local settings, some cache, software classes, local settings, more. In terms of keys added, there has been 83 keys added. And one thing you realize, it's being added in shell, which is kind of suspicious. You can keep looking. Some there is in user data components. And then you see this too. Disabled run and disabled uninstall. So we are not sure what this might be, but we clearly know this is suspicious because disabled run and disabled uninstall. So then there is some more adware alert. There's something to do with Process Explorer, so we can keep ignoring them. There is tons of more shell related keys that were created. So this is something that we should definitely look into. So this next will be values deleted, which is 2376, which is sort of suspicious here. So we can see it's Windows. It seems to be all these components like stuff. So I think for now we can just ignore. It doesn't seem to be that important. Quite a bit. I'm going to use this instead. This is still under the 2000 values that were added. A lot of ones that are in binary or hexadecimal, so we can't really do much to read that. It's probably encoded or something. So we keep scrolling down to see if there's anything else. Nope. As far as we can see, there is okay. Over here. Alright, it shows that there were actually, in terms of files, there were 5 files added. There was the MSI file, there was an icon. This can probably mean the icon for adware alert. There's this, and this is a scheduled scan job. So this might probably be for the adware alert to run its scan. Then for modified files, we have data store, we have some logs, we have more logs, user preferred, and such. And there's also a Windows update log here. For folders added, it's under installer. So this might probably be the one for adware alert. So the rest of the document stuff here, we need to further inspect it to gain some sort of clue. So as of right now at this stage, we can see that the activities that it performs doesn't seem to be that straightforward. Like there isn't a keylogger and such, so we know that it's not picking up any user activity and such. Last but not least, let's check out capture that. So try opening using WordPad, because we don't know how big this is. Alright, it has loaded. Alright, so we can expand it. Alright, so we can see a lot of VMware tools, Explorer. Alright, so for this, we can actually Control F and see if there's anything related to adware. But over here, we can already see there was a registry close key, query key, and such. Adware. So adware alert.msi over here, since we did execute it earlier on. So adware alert, more adware alert. It's created in the temporary folder. This seems to be the installation stage and such. Alright, then there's more. These are all that were captured. Some of them were ones that were captured on process monitor. These are all in the local temp file. We can also see quite a bit of file write, so probably a few files were created, like we saw it in Rickshot earlier on. Cleaning this view. SVC host, media player. One guess that I'll make to why there were so many files being opened and read might be because earlier on we were actually using adware alert to scan through the whole folder to look for any malicious content. So because of that, the adware tool just now might actually be going through every folder to check for any malicious items. So because of that reason, it might be the reason why there were several files being opened and registry keys and everything. But that's just a guess. There's a lot of registry key close keys. It's pretty much similar to what Rickshot was showing us. It's a lot of read files as well, like the reason that I told you all earlier. Alright, so leaving this aside, we remember earlier on when we realized that it detected two malwares or something, and it said that it was in system 32. So we're just gonna open that up. Okay, system 32 bi.dll. Okay, we'll check that out. System 32. So it should be in alphabetical order, so it shouldn't really be an issue. Alright, bi.dll exists, but it is something that was created a long time ago and it's not malicious. And the other one is also a DLL file known as mfplay. So, well, we can know that it didn't detect legitimate malwares or malicious document. And if we go back to testing it out, I tagged malware, which is in this list, none of them are on this list. So at this stage, it's kind of clear that this doesn't actually pick up malwares. Its purpose at this point is slightly unclear, but what we can guess here at this point is that it's a Trojan, that's for sure, because it appeared to people that it is a software that will help you detect for infections or malicious document and help you clear it. But right now, it doesn't even detect legitimate. Another thing is that a lot of users would, people who are not very tech savvy might hesitate to go to system 32 as they know it's a very important folder, so they might not want to mess around with it. So they might just blatantly believe adware alert that hey, this is malicious, and they might register for an account. We cannot view the website right now since it might have been taken down, but my guess is that for registration, it will involve a sum of money, so probably people have to pay to register an account. Once they have registered, adware alert would most probably fake it that it has been removed, and it will show that the whole system's been cleaned when in truth, adware alert's not doing any removal, any quarantine, or nothing. We have come to the end of basic dynamic analysis for the malware, fake, anti-spyware. To find out more information and what we have inferred from the analysis, head on to the conclusion section where we'll talk about general analysis of the malware defense, and malware removal.